Am I on? Sis, let me know. Let me know because I was just on and I went like for 5 minutes and I was on a roll. Man. Anyway, I think I'm on now. It says Native Wellness Institute is live now. Let me know, sis, if you got me. So, yeah, for those of you that give Indian Time bad name and we're expecting this to start right at noon, then yeah, you got Red Thunder here. Yes, I think we are on. All right, let me get a little more light in here. Set that down. There we go. All right, cool. Well, welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Power Hour. My name is Marcus Red Thunder. Ni mo kupie se uitagu se sikaswan. Onon tong kapi speaks kwe. Namoyani speaks kwe. Itaki skating. Ono ni musum. Mikipe se uitagu se speaks kwatak. That's just to honor my grandfather. That's the right that I use to speak to people. And so we're reaching out, and Native Wellness has put this all together. So appreciate Jeline. She's our esteemed chief, our leader, our commander in chief. Happy to say, and also our board for having the thought, having the mind to put this all together. All of our trainers, we're a team, we're a family. Native Wellness Institute's been around for like 20 years, and we go around to different Native communities, reservation communities, urban Native communities, doing trainings on different wellness topics, wellness in the workplace, working with Native youth, healthy relationships, which is one of the things that was my main topic is going to be focusing on healthy relationships and also men's wellness, talking about men's wellness. I mainly wanted to do like a get to know me, who I am for this first one. I've been doing these trainings for, I've been training in Indian country for 25, almost 30 years through Gona. Originally got started when I started my family young. I was like 19, 20 years old when I started my family, and I needed a job. So I got a job at Thunderchild Treatment Center as a janitor. And so I was cleaning up trash one day, and I found it was a worksheet in the trash, and it was called Red Road Recovery by Gene Thinelk. And so I read it, and I thought, dang, that was pretty amazing. That's pretty awesome. So, okay, am I cutting in and out? I thought I had pretty dang good um, internet here, like 5G. So how is it now? Is it cutting in and out? Maybe I should just sit real still. But anyway, we're recording, so if it cuts in and out, then hopefully you can go back and watch the whole full thing. And anyway, but I'm gonna disable my comments and all that so I can just go ahead and go on my rant here. But we do trainings in Indian country on all kinds of topics. What I'm focusing on is healthy relationships, and then also men's wellness. Talk about some of the men's wellness issues. Share some stories. Like I said, mainly I just wanted to share with people who I am, where I'm from, my style of training, and need better Wi-Fi. Go to the best place in your house. Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna just go with it, guys. And if I cut in and out, then you can hook back up. Oh, okay. Hey, we got a guest caller that is on. So we got Jeline Joseph on right now, and I'm sure. What's up, Jeline? Do I have a bad internet connection?
Yeah, you keep going in and out.
Okay, I'm thinking that it's just going to record anyway. And does it go in and out when people watch it later?
Yeah, yeah.
It's still.
It'll record the interruptions.
Oh, really?
It keeps interrupting, and people are texting me, and it's the same at their end. Is there somewhere else in your house that you have a better connection?
No, I got this is the best place right here. Let me
Oh
move.
shoot.
Let me do. Let me check this. I might go out for a second. Let me do my. I got 5G, and then I got my 2.5. That might work better.
Okay, yeah, or you might have to use your phone as a hotspot even.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right.
How's that? How's that? Let me know. All right.
Yeah, I will.
All
Okay,
right.
bye.
Bye. All right. So let me just go before I get into my fully talking about my my topics of men's wellness and healthy relationships. I just want to make sure that I have a good connection here. So I switched over to my other. I had a Red Thunder 5.0. I think that's 5G, and then another 2.5. I'm not sure, but anyway, I switched over to that one. So let me know. Let me know if I'm cutting in and out, and I might have to switch over to my phone hotspot. But I thought I was my router's down here right by my office, so I think I'm good. I see my brother Robert's on, so let me know, sis, if it's all good, and I'm gonna continue on and just let everybody know. I'm gonna back up just a little bit, just in case I was cutting in and out. My name is Marcus Red Thunder, and I'm my topics today are going to be on men's wellness, and then also introduction of our healthy relationships curriculum. Native Wellness brings these trainings to communities all over the country, all over the world. We're up in Canada. Jillian and a bunch of the crew, they've been over to New Zealand, Australia, all over the place. So we do international trainings on Native wellness issues, mainly because of the effects of historic trauma, and training about how we overcome historic trauma, and focus more on the historic victories of our ancestors and the values and the principles that our ancestors have had. And they lived by and they left for us, the songs, the traditions, the culture, the beauty of our people, the storytelling capabilities of our people. Those type of things is what we share throughout the country, and I'm honored to be part of it because Native Wellness has been going for like 20 years, and I've been doing Native community trainings for about 25, 30 years. I do a lot of GONAs, gathering of Native Americans. I do a lot of trainings with my sister Theta. We've recently gone up to Alaska, which was pretty amazing. But with this healthy relationships curriculum, I just would like to grow an audience that of men and women, not only just I was lifting my glasses there and being cognizant and being aware not to be touching my face. You know, my wife, she gave me a list of things that make sure you say this and make sure you say that, and so I'll be going through that. And so Native Wellness put this together, this power hour, so during this time of quarantine, so that we can share some encouraging words, so that we can share stories, uplift some hearts, some minds. My focus, like I said, mainly on men, and sharing some stories. We'd like to talk about healthy relationships. One of the things that I truly honor and respect with this Native Wellness is the relationships that I've gained with the other female trainers, like Theta Newbreast, Jordan, Shailene, all the rest of the Native Wellness ladies that are part of the family, and honor and bringing honor and respect back to our as Native men, recognizing the women that are in our lives that positively affected us. Because some of us we've grown up with different situations. Myself, I was fortunate to be sent to Cheyenne Home on the Northern Cheyenne Indian Reservation at a young age. I was like 7 years old when I was sent over there, and I grew up in Cheyenne Home. So Any Cheyennes out there listening? My very first Cheyenne mother was Becky Tall White Man, and then Edna Seminole, Alberta Fisher, Ellen Medicine Bowl, through Peyote, through Native American Church, made relations with beautiful family in Bernie on the banks of the Tongue River Reservation, or Tongue River on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. Very fortunate, beautiful people over there. Alberta Fisher, she's also one of my Cheyenne mothers. Eva Lee Foote, Foote family, Roland family. Those are all my relatives over there. Beautiful Cheyenne people are beautiful people, and I was very fortunate to grow up with Northern Cheyennes and be able to grow up that way. She says I'm still cutting out, so hey sis, how about Theta? Text me. Let me know if I'm cutting out and it's not working right. Um, I might have to move on over to my other Wi-Fi hotspot. I might have to use my phone as a hotspot. How's it now? Is it okay? All right, I'm getting a lot of love as far as heart, so I think it's all right. As far as men's wellness, there's some of the things that I talk about is, and there's a story about sometimes when we do trainings, sometimes it's scary because people, they take things personal. They take things personal and they don't realize that you're just telling jokes or something like that. There was Cheyennes. They went over to and called upon this comedian to come on in, and when he came in, he did his research ahead of time. And when he did his research, he found out that Northern Cheyennes, okay, might work better from your phone Wi-Fi rather than the house. All right, let me give this a try, guys. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm okay right there. Okay, I'm gonna trust that. Let me get that out of there. Moving on over to Red Thunder. Alright. Okay, let's give that a shot. Cancel. Alright, how's that? 5. Okay, alright. How's that one there? Is that good? Might work better. Alright. Yeah, you guys kind of have to bear with us, or bear with me anyway, because I'm trying to figure out this Wi-Fi situation, and maybe I'll just hook up my Ethernet next time and just skip the Wi-Fi and go with that. But let me know, sis. Let me know. Give me a comment, guys, if it's okay, or if it keeps cutting out. Cool. All right. Anyway, what? I was in the middle of that story. I was telling you guys a story about Northern Cheyennes. Okay, they called this comedian up, Northern Cheyennes, and that comedian, he did his research ahead of time. So he figured out that Cheyennes, they tease crows, just like Ogalalas and Rosebud, or down the Wind River, Arapahoes and Shoshones. We're always usually our neighbors. We tease them, use them for the butt of our jokes. So that comedian, he was did his research. He figured out, and he turned all of his jokes into crow jokes, so that those Cheyennes, when they were listening to his jokes, oh man, they were laughing and laughing. And this comedian was a ventriloquist, so he had his puppet. He had this little Indian puppet, and whenever he tell his jokes with that puppet man, those Cheyennes would laugh. All his jokes were crow. They're all crow jokes, and he didn't know that comedian didn't know that there was a crow man in that audience, and he was getting pissed. He was getting angry. He was getting mad. And he's going on and on, boy, and he's telling jokes with that little puppet, tearing it up, boy, and then that crow couldn't take it anymore. Finally, that crow guy jumped up and he said, "Hey, who the hell you think you are talking about my people like that? We got Crow Fair. We got our clan system. TP capital of the world be using my people as the butt of your jokes." Oh, he got really mad at the comedian. Was like, hey, I apologize. I don't mean to offend you. I'm just doing a show here. And that crow guy said, "Hey, and you shut up. This is between me and that little guy on your knee." So we talk about this whenever we do trainings, share and listening to comedians. Don't be taking things to the heart, but our humor and the way that we like to laugh with one another and enjoy each other's company. That's part of who we are as Native people. And sometimes I know I find it myself. I want to go visit people. I want to get out and about and do things. But at this time, we're kind of locked up, and we have to stay home. All right, cool. Everything looks like it's working good, so we can kind of get into this talking about my topics here. But anyway, I'm just going to continue to go off on this and just share so that those people that tune in on Fridays or whenever I'm on and want to continue this series of healthy relationships and men's wellness, and hopefully we get a good community of men gathered together that want to discuss certain topics in healthy relationships. And when we talk about healthy relationships, it's not just you and your companion. A lot of these healthy relationships I'm talking about is your relationship with your children, father-son relationships, father and daughter relationships, brother-sister relationships, those type of things. Because sometimes we're taught things, and that's the way this Native Wellness Healthy Relationships curriculum, the way that it goes about, it brings up topics, and then we have to go back and we think, what were we really taught at a young age about these certain things about relationships take for granted? What were you taught? Because like some of us were taught in messed up ways because drugs or alcohol, dysfunction in the family, those type of things were involved, and so we kind of were taught in a dysfunctional type of way. I always tell that story about one of my uncles. "Marcus, you don't want to be having sex. It just leads to kissing. Pretty soon she'll want to know your name." Zay! Rugged guys, all backwards. So what we talk about in healthy relationships, Native Wellness Institute way, is that we take a look at what we were taught in that certain topic. And then we take a look at what our ancestors taught, the values and the principles that they laid for us. Courting, relationship, our roles as men and women, those type of things. So what you were taught now as growing up, and then what our ancestors, what we know, what our ancestors thought and shared and left for us, those values and principles. And then we bring those together, and then we see how we can apply those in our everyday lives today. And that's how we overcome when we talk about that historic trauma, some of that past issues that creep up and control some of our behaviors and our attitudes even, and how we look at things. So this healthy relationships curriculum can allow you to be able to help you to expand your paradigm, or to even change your paradigm as far as how you see relationships. And one of the things that like philosophically wise, as far as the way that I think, and philosophically is a word, but I was thinking, when I think about, I read something and it said, "I never met a man I didn't like." When I read it, I thought, bull, how can you like everybody that you meet? Not just a man, but as a person. I never met a person I didn't like. And so I had to think about that. I had to think about that for a second, what was truly meant when he said that I never met a person I didn't like. Because at first I thought it was BS. Can't like everybody, but that's not what that person was saying. They were saying I give them that opportunity ahead of time. I might not like them afterwards. They might be buttheads or whatever afterwards, and find out who they really are. But at least you give people the opportunity ahead of time. That's a good way to go about it. A good way, and that's one of the. I know my grandmother was one of my original teachers, because she took me in early. I was a grandma's kid from the time I was just young, you know, little baby boy, until I was about 6 or 7, when she's too old to take care of me. She brought me in, but I remembered, and she didn't speak any English at all. My grandmother, she only spoke Cree. Well, she spoke Soto, which is similar, and she spoke Sac and Fox, and then she also spoke French. She learned up in Canada at the boarding schools, but she never spoke any English, and she always spoke Cree to me. And she shares some words of wisdom to me. And I remember her saying that no matter where you go, and I think she was kind of preparing me, because she knew that she was going to be too old to take care of me, and they might send me to orphanage or group home, or put me in foster care, which is what happened. But I remember her telling me, she said, wherever you go, don't ever be afraid to pray with the people that are there. And she didn't say it specifically that way, but that's the way I remember what the true teaching was that she said, wherever you go, pray with them. Don't be afraid. You pray with whoever there, and you pray with them. You sit down and you pray with them. You open your heart and your mind that way. And so she, at an early age, and my grandmother kind of opened my heart and my mind to not be judgmental towards people, to have a heart of love towards people and forgiveness. And this I know, our people have had love and forgiveness and charity long before Christianity came to the shores here. We've had that way of life that was strong and beautiful and loving and family. And so what Native Wellness Institute does is try to tap back into those values and to those principles that allow us to express ourselves as Native people more freely. Find out what that spirituality is, and feed it. Feed that fire, because that spirituality within you is like a fire, and you got to continue to feed that fire. Whatever it is, whether it's poetry, um, whether it's exercising, whatever it is that feeds that fire within you, that brings that excitement to you. Singing, writing songs, playing instrument, those type of things. Find out what it is, and honor it. Continue to feed that fire within you, especially at this time during this quarantine time. Make sure that you pick those things back up, whatever they may be. Some of those things that we might have forgot. We might have forgot that really feeds our spirit. And one of the things that feeds my spirit is woodworking. I love working with wood and making furniture, cabinets, those type of things. So I use that to help me calm my heart, my spirit, because like I said, man, I'm a social person. I like to get out, and I like to visit. And my wife just kind of pulls my reins back and says, no, can't be doing that now. And it is a selfish thing to do if you're still out there running around, visiting people and acting like this is not going to affect you. Right now, it's a time for us to be like we have ancestors. There's a story that I heard about our ancestors when smallpox came. They knew ahead of time these guys were coming down the river, and they said, these guys are sick, and they want to come into our village, and our people are kind, and they're helpers. They want to help because our people are loving people. But we had someone in the village that said, no, we can't let them in because they're sick. If we let them in, we're all going to get sick, and we could all die. But our people are so kind and loving, they ended up bringing those people into the village, thinking that they could cure them and help them. But those ones that said they didn't want them in, they left. They left that village because they didn't want to be sick. And we are the descendants of those ones that left that village, because the rest of them, they were killed, smallpox. So we need to stay home. At this time, it is so important to stay home and to stay to yourself and to protect yourself. So that's all I'm going to say about that. About this quarantine, because man, I got like a ton of stories that I was going through my notes preparing for this webinar, and I got like a ton of stories that I wanted to share, and kind of hit on these topics of men and women's wellness, and some of the things that men relationships. And, I have a brother that his name is Manny. We used to do a lot of trainings together, and he grew up similar than I did, as far as he used to say, I grew up poor. But when you talk about native wellness and you get into native wellness, you don't say negative things about yourself. And that word poor kind of had a bad connotation to him. So he changed it. He said, I'm humble. I grew up humble, he said. My grandparents' cabin, dirt floor. And he said, we grew up humble. He said, and because of that, my brother, whenever we travel, he liked to go to the nicest neighborhoods and check out the homes there. So this one time he was going through a nice neighborhood and checking out the homes, and this cop pulled him over because somebody called up and said, hey, we got a suspicious Indian driving around our neighborhood here. And so the cop pulled him over, and my brother's right off the bat, man, his aim came out in him. Back in the 70s, he was hardcore aim. When that came back out, and he kind of got upset at that cop. And, what? You pulling me over? Racially profiling me? You don't think I can live in this neighborhood just because I got darker skin, long hair, braids? You don't think I can live around here? And that cop was like, well, do you? And my brother, man, he was so angry. He didn't want to back down. So he told that cop, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. And the cop said, well, which house is yours? My brother still didn't want to back down. He said, well, you see that house up there? And he pointed at the biggest house on that block. He said, you see that house right there? That's my house. And he took that cop right over there because he was so angry. He didn't want to back down at all. And he said, you see this doors? These are my doors. And he walked right in there. Opened up that house, walked right in there, and said, look at all this furniture. This is my furniture. And he pointed over and he said, you see that bedroom right there? That's my bedroom. Walked him right over there, and he said, hey, you see this room right here? And that bed? That's my bed. And you see that woman lying on that bed? That's my wife. And you see that man lying next to her? That's me. Just joking, that didn't happen. But anyway, sometimes as men, our anger takes us and takes us and takes us and takes us, and it overcomes. And sometimes we need to learn how to let that go. Let that go. So, with this Native Wellness Healthy Relations curriculum, we have a section in there also where we talk about healthy communication and those skills that we need to communicate in a healthy way and not be so aggressive sometimes. Automatically we can think men are aggressive and then women are passive, but that's not the way it is all the time. Especially at this time, I was talking to my son, and I was telling him we're talking, and he said, I told him, I said, well, one thing I guess is crime has gone down, and he said, yeah, but I think domestic violence has gone up. And which is a sad thing to say, but I think that's what might happen if people get locked in with one another. Pretty soon you're like, man, I don't want to be around you. Do you have to do that? Breathe in and out, over and over. Everything getting on each other's nerves. So these type of issues as far as dealing with ourselves at this time, it's my son was saying, Daddy, this could be kind of like a blessing in disguise, because the world need to slow down. The world need to slow down. She said, and even in our relationships and our marriage. He was saying that we have to deal with each other and figure out because we're not working, we're staying home. Um, where it's just me, like right now, it's just me, my wife, my daughter, and our baby boy. And we've never done a puzzle, but I went out and we got a puzzle. We threw it up there, and my wife's an attorney, and I do a lot of work, and so we're always trying to be busy, 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 and thinking that we have to be busy, 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 busy all the time. And if we're not that way, then we start getting anxiety filled, start worrying. Wait, wait, wait. But she said one of the things that you should remind people when you do your webinar is to chill out, to just relax and take this time to get to know each other. Take this time to maybe change up some habits as far as if you don't like the way things are going in your life, then take a look at these 4 aspects that we talk about in this healthy relationship: physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental. Pick one. Pick one of those. You can just pick your physical and maybe start exercising. Whatever it may be, go for a walk, keeping social distance in mind. Um, Pull all them clothes off of your treadmill and use it, or your cycle machine. Even just your own body weight, as far as like Dosh and Chelsea talk about, just keeping movement going. Or if you're not into physical exercise so rigorously or religiously, then maybe it's something mentally that you can change up. If you're used to just being in a work mentality when you wake up in the morning, it's like, okay, I got my next task on hand, and I need to do this, and you're just duty orientated all the time. And now you have to just like maybe wake up in the morning. Maybe your focus is just to get a good breakfast going, get your family calm for the day, put on some smudge, play some good peyote music or powwow music in the morning, and kind of get that morning roll going. Like shoot, man, every day could be like a weekend, like a Saturday and Sunday morning, and just get that routine going. And if you get that routine going now, when things start picking up, you can maintain that routine, keep that routine going, and be well and be blessed. I always say that being blessed, it's just a mindset. Being blessed is if you're already blessed. Those prayers have already been said for us, so you're blessed. Life's already blessed, so live it that way. Live it like you are. Be grateful for the things that you have. We don't. I know that we don't have much, but what we do have is love, and love is a beautiful thing, and love is meant to be shared. And so I got candle, because the room is dark and everybody goes around lighting each other's candle. Pretty soon that room fills up with light, and your candle is still the same size. It didn't go down at all. Your flame is still the same size. So, don't be stingy with that. The love that you have, share it. That's one of the values and principles that our ancestors left for us, is that love, that goodness. So tap into that. As men, it's all right to be an engaged father. And I know I'm just riffing here, but you got to know where I'm coming from as before we get into the training and all that. I'm just gonna get to know me, who I am. But one of the things is being an engaged father. And it doesn't matter how old your children are or how young they are. It's never too late to be an engaged father. And what does it mean to be an engaged father? That's up to you to decide what it means to be an engaged father. For me, it means just to be right there every day. Wake up, my son's there with me every day. He wakes up and sees me, unless I'm out working or anything, but I'm there. He knows me. That's me being an engaged father. Some fathers, you're not it's not like that. Your children are somewhere else in a different state or a different town or different household or whatever. And but you still want to be engaged. So that's up to you to figure out. Maybe it's just going to a basketball game. Maybe you can't be in communication with his mom and she's mad or angry or whatever, and you don't have that relationship with her anymore. So work through an auntie or cousins like that, but get involved with your children. Make sure they know that they have a father, a loving father. That's going to mean so much to our native children now. To grow up and knowing that you have a father that loves you and cares for you is a beautiful thing. It's something that I didn't have growing up and something that I wanted to give my sons and let them know. Might not be able to provide for them the way that I wanted to, as far as money wise and home and all that. But the one thing that I truly wanted my sons, my adult sons right now, to have and to know, and my little baby boy now and my daughter is just to know the love of their natural father. And I was able to do that. So I consider myself a success as far as that. And I still today maintain a close relationship with my sons, and that's me being an engaged father. And hopefully they can take that to a whole new level. Because I didn't have it doesn't mean that. And just because I was never trained by a dad to be a dad, but I've saw men growing up that I thought that's the characteristics that I know if I had a dad that I would want my dad to be. And I remember growing up thinking that about different men that I would see, teachers, house parents, people that came into my life. And so I was blessed when my oldest son was born. Creator told me, he said, well, you didn't get that dad that you always wanted, but hey, you can go ahead and be that dad that you have always wanted. And so I was blessed that way, and I really appreciate that blessing. And it came through ceremony. It came through ceremony because of the what our ancestors have left for us is a beautiful way to pray and express ourselves. And that teaching came to me through that, and I accepted it. And I thank Creator for allowing me to see something so. Like that prayer I thought as a child of wanting a dad was going in vain, but it never did. It wasn't something that was said in vain. It was something that Creator was listening to and said, okay, be that dad you've always wanted to be. So I'm blessed, I'm fortunate. I'm a fortunate man today because I have 6 children. My oldest son is 30 and my youngest son is a year and a half. Yeah, me and my wife, we just had our beautiful surprise little baby boy. His name is Thunder, and our daughter, she's was our youngest one before, um, and she's our only one, and she's our only daughter, and she's 17, so she's gonna be a senior next year, so she's getting ready to go to college and take care of all that, and she's just a beautiful young lady. I'm really proud of all my children. They don't mind me saying they've been through some struggles. My older sons have been through some struggles, and I'm proud to say that they're all doing really well now. They're all engaged fathers. I'm really proud of my children, and I'm proud of the relationship that I have with them, and I feel good about it. These are the type of things that kind of fill my spirit. That's how I feed my spirit is call my sons, visit with them, work on that healthy, good relationship with them, and continue to. Whenever I hear good news, I feel good, and they strive, and I know my sons do. They strive to do things, and then call me and share that good news, and I appreciate that. That brightens my day. And so for you sons out there, and for you daughters out there, if your parents are still around, call them, let them know, give them some good news, let them know, restore that relationship, all of us, we need to forgive our parents. We all need to forgive our parents, no matter, and we also need to ask our children to forgive us as parents, because none of us are perfect at all. And so our children, they need to have that open and honest communication with them and let them know, and apologize to them too. You get on this wellness path and figure out that we're beautiful people, and these things that we talk about as far as what we thought were mistakes and sin, I guess. I don't believe in sin, but things that we thought were bad in our lives, and actually they made us the beautiful, strong people that we are now. And so we have ways to take a look at that and to continue to look at our lives in a positive and productive and good way. So I just wanted to share that. I'm going to start winding down and closing, but I have some stories that I wanted to share. I was talking about as I was growing up and working in treatment program, and then as a janitor, I started working with youth early in treatment programs and group homes, just because that's the way I grew up, so I could relate, and some of the stories that I heard and some of the things that I changed up because I have to teach these youth, and I was telling them about some of the values and principles that our ancestors had, and one of the stories I heard is our ancestors, they would raise their children are with photographic memory, because it would be the village that would raise them, and they would take them in at certain times, and different people would teach them the things that they needed to know. And because of that natural and beautiful way, the things that we ate, they had photographic memory. Their memories were strong, their bodies were strong, eyes were good, they're just strong. But I was telling them about that photographic memory and being able to remember everything that happened in your life. That's the power of our ancestors. And so these boys that were talking, I once said, I think out of all of us here, I think I probably got the best memory. And we gotta get competitive. And there's two other young native boys that were with him, and they said, "Oh yeah, well, how far back do you think you can remember?" And that one said, "I remember being born." And the other one, being competitive, he said, "Oh yeah, well, my memory's better than that. I remember being in my mom's belly." And they were like, "Oh man, that's a good memory." And that third one, that little boy said, "Yeah, that's pretty good memory, and almost as good as mine." And he said, "Well, what do you mean? You can't remember further back than being in the belly. That's the beginning." He said, "No, I remember going to a powwow with my dad and coming home with my mom." Hey, not that good of memory, yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So anyway, it's when we have these power hour, and when I'm on, I'm going to be sharing a lot of the teachings that we have also about like Gona, gathering of Native Americans. Those type of trainings that we have done through Native Violence Institute also. And once we start getting around and doing more trainings, you can contact Native Violence Institute, I think nativeviolenceinstitute.com. Get on Facebook, get a hold of them. We can get a trainer over to your community, do some TOTs, and share a lot. We got a lot of amazing trainers. Crazy Casey Nicholson, he's going to be on tomorrow. I think he said they had the same issue as me as far as our Wi-Fi kind of cutting in and out. So he's going to be back on tomorrow at noon. So make sure to tune in tomorrow at noon for Crazy Casey. And I think the schedule is out now. So make sure to share that, because the trainings that we have, this Power Hour, there's some amazing presenters. We're just getting this going, so I know I had a few glitches the first 15-20 minutes, and still trying to go off on my tangents and come back together and figure this out. But this is our first one, so you kind of got to bear with us, and we'll get these power hours rocking and rolling, and being able to share some good stories and good trainings. I was telling you guys about my brother Manny before I totally close out here. I'm gonna share a funny story about Manny. One time he was driving through the res, and he got pulled over by a cop, and that cop pulled him over because he had a broken tail light. And that cop walked up there and said, "Hey, I pulled you over. You got a broken tail light. I'm not gonna give you a ticket. I'm just gonna give you a warning." And then Manny was kind of half shot, he kind of looked, "Oh, good," he said. "I thought you pulled me over because I don't have driver's license." Hey, his girlfriend was sitting right next to him and hit him. "Hey, shut up, officer! You don't listen to him. He don't know what he's saying when he's drinking." Hey! In the back seat, their buddy was in the back seat. He was passed out. He woke up and he saw that cop. "Hey, it wasn't me that stole this car." And hauled them all off to jail. I was gonna give him a warning too. It's my brother, my bro. So anyway, this Indigenous Power Hour, like I said, um, it's a time for us to be able to build community, and get into our trainings, mainly just to share who I am as a Indigenous trainer with Native Wellness Institute. I look forward to doing some more of these power hours, and getting to know this Facebook Live. I'm gonna figure out how to throw up some of my worksheets, and work through some of those, and just gonna get creative with this Facebook Live, and building a little cyber community as far as helping one another out, and getting into our trainings. So um, I think it went pretty good. As I'm hoping, I'm hoping that I wasn't cutting in and out that whole time. But there's these different stories, like I was saying with the healthy relationships. We talk about some of the stuff in there a lot of times. What were you taught growing up? Who were your teachers growing up? Some of us were very fortunate and had some amazing teachers that taught us different resources that we can use. And when I say resources, as far as ceremony, getting out and work, and actually putting practice to some of these principles and values we talk about, and build that character. Experiential education, when we do our trainings, a lot of activities, and teach to those activities. Um, Utilize that within our homes now. With my little baby boy, he's getting to the age now to where he can start learning things, and have fun and run around and enjoy. And I'm thinking now, and watching my baby son as a man, as an older man. I'm 51 now, and I look back, and I just think I'm really enjoying the different phases that my baby son is going through. And when he was an infant, and became a little baby, and now he's, a year and a half, two, he's a little toddler, and how amazing it is to watch this little guy grow, and the influence, and the love that my wife and I get to share as far as raising him together. It's a beautiful thing, and I appreciate it, and I really feel blessed that way. And I think this is the best way that as far as using the internet, and is to go about doing my trainings, is I bring a lot of my own personal growth into it, and my own personal stories. And like I said, I'm Red Thunder. That's me, and it took me a long time, and it's still to figure out what that means. And I'm still on that path of wellness, a different phase that I'm moving into. As still a father of a young child, but I'm also a grandfather. I have I have one, two, three grandsons and three granddaughters, and I'm grateful, yeah, for my grandchildren and moving into that phase as a grandpa. And both my wife and I, um, this is both our time now to move, to keep movement in our life. And that's one of the things that goals that we set together is to have movement as far as exercise, um, go on walks together. We're fortunate to be able to have a backyard that we can run around in with my little boy. Make sure he gets out about maybe 3 to 4 hours at least every day, and run around in the yard or go on walks, or get him out at this time. But my family, I'm really grateful for. I'm proud of my sons. I'm proud of my daughter. I love my wife, and to continue to build on that, as far as building a healthy relationship and moving forward in my own personal life. I don't mind sharing it, because one of the things that I found out is that this shame that I used to carry would hold me back. It would hold me back from truly expressing myself, and um, the shame would hold me back from truly being myself. And so, if I let that go, and just realistically see the beautiful, good blessings that I have in my life every day, be conscious and aware of it, and I don't get caught up in some of the negativity that could be stirring up into and creeping in because of the historic trauma that my grandmother went through that was passed down to me, historic trauma that my mother went through and was passed down to me. That's in my blood memory. But rather, when I wake up in the morning and I honor the blessings of prayer, I honor the blessings of my family, with smudge, with song, looking up in the sky and seeing a beautiful sunrise. It gives me a better opportunity to be a more of an effective father, engaged husband, dad, and grandfather. And so I love and appreciate the values and principles that Native Wellness has put together and is expressed in this healthy relationships curriculum. So when I get into it, I don't know, maybe I'll get a little more structured as far as how we can throw up worksheets and get some more, get some open discussions going, or how we can work it. But anyway, I apologize for the initial in and outs of the Wi-Fi, but I think if we got it all situated, and I have one more story that I'm going to share before I close up here. I get 1 hour, but this might go a little bit over. But there was this, and this story is about a talking dog. It's on the res, and there was a tourist that was walking around the res, and he saw this sign on the reservation house, this old HUD home over there. It said, it was handwritten sign on the window. It said, "Talking dog for sale." And that white guy was like, I wonder what that's about. Some kind of a joke or something. And he walked on, and curiosity got the best of him. So he went back over there and he knocked on that door, and the Indian guy opened it up and said, "Yeah." And that white guy's like, just I want to ask about this sign that you have up here about some kind of a talking dog. Is that a joke or what? And the guy's like, "No, he's out back. You want to visit with him?" That white guy was like, yeah, yeah, sure, all right. And so he went and took that white guy in the back, and there was a old res car back there. And sure enough, right underneath that car, laying there, was an old res dog. And that Indian guy walked right up to him and said, "Hey, this guy wants to visit with you." And that res dog looked up at him and he said, "Oh, good. Haven't had a visitor in quite a while." And that white guy's like, "Oh, shit. Dang, man, this guy, your dog really can talk, can he?" And that dog said, "Yeah, yeah, I can talk." Shoot, he said, that little dog said, I've had this gift since I was born." He said, "I knew that it was something special, so I started talking to my owner, and he didn't know what to do, so he took me over to some elders, and those elders talked and visit with them for a while, and they didn't know what to do with me either, so they took me over to tribal building, and tribal building, they just took me over to tribal police." And so I was working with tribal police. You know, they set me up in different places, and I listen to what's going on. I go back and tell them, this guy's selling this, this guy's bootlegging. There's domestic violence going on over there. One, they used me for an informant. Pretty soon, the BIA found out about me, and pretty soon I was going from reservation to reservation, and I was being an informant. And pretty soon I was a top canine dog for BIA for 2 years, and then the CIA, United States government, found out about me, and I was working for the CIA, and I was sent over to Afghanistan. I was in South Korea, snuck over to North Korea. I was in Japan, China, North and South Vietnam. I was all over the world, even in Africa and the Middle East, and I was all over the world. I was top CIA dog for about 3-4 years. He said, but that dog said, now I'm just on the res, chilling. Got a few res puppies running around. Yeah. And that white guy was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." He looked at that Indian and said, "What? How much are you selling them for?" That Indian guy said, "I don't know, 10, 15 bucks." And that white guy's like, "Whoa, why you selling them so cheap?" The Indian guy said, "Because he's a liar. He didn't do any of that." Anyway, but yeah. So, and that's my dig for my power hour. And it's just sharing. I got a lot of stories, and Niyama Kupiye se Uitagus, Sikaswan, Red Thunder. That's me, and I'm honored to be part of Native Wilderness Institute's Power Hour, and also want to thank Noisy. Is that who's NOYSE is the acronym? No, Noisy Foundation. They're the ones that are being sponsoring these and providing funding for Native Wilderness Institute, which is a nonprofit, monetarily wise through the IRS, but we are a social profit, meaning that wherever we go, whatever we do, the societies will profit from the trainings that we have. So be part of it. Be part of Native Wilderness. Be part of the revolution that's going on. The revolution isn't here. It's within you, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful gift that we have, that Creator has given to us, our heart, our mind, our bodies, so we take care of them. And I know that there's probably a lot of things that I forgot to mention, because my wife gave me a list of things to mention. One of the things was, I better get this in. Before you flush the toilet, close the lid. Oh man. So anyway, you guys take care out there and be well, be blessed. And like I said, when I say be well and be blessed, it's a state of mind. It's up to you. You control this. This doesn't control you. So you can have a beautiful day. You can calm yourself down. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be good. It's already that way. Take this time to love yourself, love one another. And we've had this, like I said, we've had this love, we've had this way of forgiveness, charity, and beautiful way of life long before 1492. And our way of life is strong and it's beautiful. And our ancestors, man, they shed blood, sweat, and tears for us to continue to have these values and principles and to honor them, and by holding on to them. And so I thank you for being part of this, and look forward to continuing our Native Wellness Power Hour. And you guys take care and be well, be blessed. And I'm going to do my countdown here for my 1 hour live. Is going to end in 6, 5, 4. All right, you guys take care, man. A lot of love. I'd love to all my brothers and sisters out there. Later.